So that's that, you guys. Today was the day that Graham Potter was officially announced as the new Chelsea manager, replacing the sacked Thomas Tuchel. He signs today on a 5-year deal. This deal costs over around 21 million in terms of the compensation package, and factor in costs like bringing in his coaching staff from Brighton, who are, very well respected and highly rated in the game as well too. So wow, it's been an unreal set of events these past few days, and honestly, you guys, you do not understand my frustration I'm feeling at not being at home right now to make content to the best of its ability. It's been a real struggle. The internet connection's terrible and poor, and even though I'm having a decent time with the boys, a part of me is kind of feeling raw. I wish I was home right now delivering the content for all you guys right now. So that's enough about me. Let's discuss all the news surrounding Potter, his first words, my thoughts and opinions behind why I feel Potter is the right guy for us in the future, plus many other factors as well too. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, but before we get into anything, I need to get one big plug out of the way first. There is a new episode of the Last Fan Standing series on BetVictor's YouTube channel. This week we're discussing Arsenal, so I'm going to play you guys a brief clip right now.
What's your opinion of Arteta at the moment? I know you obviously had a great start to the season, but is he the man who can lead you to this title challenge? Can he?
And to keep this short and simple, I'm sorry, if Arsenal haven't even secured Champions League football in how many seasons, how can you even discuss talking about title challenges? It doesn't make sense. They played very well against Man United, but ultimately they lost in the end. And I think that is going to be the story of Arsenal's season. A lot of promise for the future, but their current capabilities aren't at that right level right now to really be able to challenge for domestic honours like that. So if you guys want to get involved in the discussion and hear this week's episode, then of course you'll find a link below in the description and in the card above, so make sure you guys check the episode out. Anyway, getting back to the main story today, let's hear some of the first words that came from Graham Potter's mouth. And as he says, I am incredibly proud and excited to represent Chelsea FC, this fantastic football club. I am very excited to partner with Chelsea's new ownership group and look forward to meeting and working with the exciting group of players and to develop a team and culture that our amazing fans can be proud of. I would also like to place my sincere thanks to Brighton and Hove Albion for allowing me this opportunity, and in particular Tony Bloom and all the players, staff and supporters for their continued support during my time at the club. And of course, you're expecting standard things like this to be said. Let's move on to hearing the words from Todd Boehly, as he says, "We are thrilled to bring in Graham to Chelsea. He is a proven coach and an innovator in the Premier League who fits our vision for the club. Not only is he extremely talented on the pitch, he has skills and capabilities that extend beyond the pitch, which will make Chelsea a more successful club. He has had a major impact at his previous clubs, and we look forward to his positive impact at Chelsea. We look forward to supporting him, his coaching team and the squad in realising their full potential in the coming months and years." Not going to lie, I feel like there's so much to unpack from Todd Boehly's statements and comments. A lot to actually digest, to be fair. Let's break down some of these quotes actually. Of course, he has a lot of respect for Graham Potter. He knew about him before, of course, when he was negotiating with Brian to sign Cucurella. Potter is really revered in the game at this point in time and with Premier League managers across the boards. He stresses that Potter fits our vision for the club. And what is that vision that Todd Boehly wants? That vision is based on longevity. It's based on youth players with incredible potential that can grow over the years. And he wants to keep these guys in their peak years, hence why they sign 6-7 year deals, because if your Madrids or other clubs come, it will put them off knowing that it will cost them way too much money. This is the type of culture Boehly wants to produce here, because it follows along the culture that he created with the LA Dodgers team. They have one of their managers that's been there since 2016. He's recently just signed a new 3-year extension. He's been with his manager through good times and bad times. And Boehly won't just sack a manager exclusively based on results. Ideally, for his business model, for the efficiency, because remember, he's a billionaire at the end of the day. The way a billionaire thinks is not the same way a normal person thinks, based on the type of power and influence and all these other factors that combine in. So, there's a real efficiency at play here behind this model. And essentially, he wants to recreate this at Chelsea Football Club. That's why he wanted us over other clubs, because of the models we have here. We're looking at the academy. We're looking at, of course, that location in London as well too. You're looking at the fact that we have top players at this club. We are like the perfect club that you could take to the next level if you have a clear strategy, which I've always said for years has to come from the board at the highest level. So that's why they sign the managers that they want to recreate that vision they have. Now, to end with Barley's quotes, I think the most fascinating thing for me was the point he mentioned, saying that Potter has skills and capabilities that extend beyond the pitch, which will make us a more successful club. You could interpret that as a little dig on Tuchel, but at the same time, it's not a dig. It's just a clarification in the sense that Tuchel was not the right guy for us, and we need someone better suited to our model and what we're trying to build with Chelsea FC. I think it's that simple, to be fair with you. And of course, Potter, which I'm going to touch upon probably right now, is definitely the right candidate that does encompass all the qualities the board is looking for in their new coach. So what are those qualities? Let's actually discuss them right now. One of the major qualities of Graham Potter is this combination of playing offensive possession football with an incredible reliance on system flexibility. His teams will change system in games. We're seeing this with Brighton again. It's been the case even when he was making his name in Sweden with Östersunds, who he took up from like the 4th division all the way to the top division. He won domestic honours, which got them into Europa League qualification spots, where they beat Galatasaray, where they beat teams like PAOK plus more, eventually getting them to the knockout stages where they played some great games versus Arsenal before eventually losing to them. I mean, this is the power of what this guy can do. And it's been these coaching principles that he's had since his first start as a manager to where he is currently, which have not changed and which have taken him to the heights he's currently at. I mean, not gonna lie, it kind of feels like his career has kind of been like an FM save where you're starting at clubs with like no experience. You know how much harder it is to play. And then Östersunds doing ridiculous achievements with them. Good success with Swansea, great success with Brighton. So just that trajectory up. It's a never-ending up at this point in time. And it is nice that Brighton, of course, allowed him to fulfill his potential and leave very easily and quickly. I think that's a great thing. And of course, we did our bit too by coughing up the money instantly and not wasting time in negotiations. But, you know, that's like an example of the history behind. But getting a bit deeper into why his methods are so successful, I think the system flexibility is a massive one. A lot of times that I watch games from many managers actually, the system that starts the game ends up being the same system that ends it. You know, of course, it's like some minor tweaks in game to like adjust for what the opposition manager is doing to his team, but they're not that drastic. Not drastic in the sense where it's like you can be playing completely differently based on what's happening in game, and he coaches the players to be able to understand how to take advantage of this, how to, you know, play multiple systems and adjust on the fly like that. I think that gives his teams an extra notch, which makes it very harder for opposition managers to be able to counter that because they're too stuck on, you know, their existing ideas that went into that game. And I think one of the main reasons behind why he's even able to coach something this complex, a lot of his teams, you're looking at teams in Sweden that weren't even in the main divisions. If he can do it with players of that caliber, of course that can translate to the best players in the best leagues. And I think it actually comes down to understanding the emotional aspects. Yeah, it might sound a little bit iffy like her. Football's always been seen as a game that's focused on, in my opinion, a lot of very outdated kind of cliched thoughts like masculinity and all that type of stuff, which, you know, had its time, but I think as we're progressing and understanding a lot more, it does feel like you can get more out of a player if they don't have that type of toxic culture around them. And I think he understands that. I mean, this guy literally got a master's degree in leadership and emotional intelligence. You know, being a manager isn't just tactics on the pitch. It's about how you galvanize your team, how you build that confidence, that team spirit, the environment. You know, that's why they're called managers. There is so much that managers have to do, and it's quite clear that Todd Boehly wants someone that is more open, that can do more than just focus solely on being in the lab, working on tactics, and that's that. I guess if you're able to find the correct coaching methodology to improve a player's confidence, it may be his like a sense of self, you know, his sense of self with the team as well too, a healthy environment where he's not going to have as much insecurity. I don't know, but that's where my mind's thinking right now. Maybe that's no surprise why so many of his teams pick up on his ideas instantly and have great successes for them. Now, I want to give some closing thoughts as well too. Of course, in terms of like the playing style, there are some elements of similarity between Potter and Thomas Tuchel. Of course, those elements are things like the passages. Of course, those elements are things like the passages of play out from the back, those types of passing routines and patterns. But I think there's a massive difference between how he gets his teams to attack compared to Thomas Tuchel. I think with Tuchel, there was heavy emphasis on wide overloads. That is basically meaning the wing backs pushing up very high and wide. We see the wide attacking mids and like your Kais or ZX or Mounts, etc., drifting wide a lot of times to help create overloads down either flank. Sometimes the play would be to focus on one side of the pitch to free up spaces on the other side. But then I guess that was always kind of contradicted because we didn't really play quickly enough because it was more like possession heavy system, which was great at defending with the ball. But I think for me, my main concern with that eventually was the fact that it wasn't doing enough to force opponents to react to us. That was the main thing. We were reacting to opponents. And what I mean by that is the reason why we saw so many teams comfortable at sitting back, parking the bus, sitting deep, is because that was the tried and tested way to get results against us. That's why every team did that. And that's why, as time went on, we had no solutions in play. And I think it boils down to that point I made of too much emphasis on wide overloads. As we were seeing when the form was really poor and bad in Tuchel's like final games, we saw the like circle of death, like no one in the middle, players just hugging out wides, and of course getting ready to make runs inside the books. You need connectors, connections in the middle gives you more avenues and creative possibilities and solutions on the field to create past teams. And I think that's one thing we've seen in particular with Brighton. I mean, they really do play some great attacking football, and it's not just focused on the same like built-in like rigged attacking patterns and plays, which I felt Tuchel has a massive over-reliance on. It will work. It will be successful. It is going to get you trophies. It's just not as sustainable unless you got a board that's really willing to buy into just replacing players, spending big on guys with experience, etc., etc. But with Todd Bowley, as we're seeing now in terms of emphasis on youth, long-term contracts for youth players, signing youth players as well too, he wants to build a team that can also grow, but it's a special team that has special youth that can achieve their potential here. And that's what Potter does. He improves players, but I'll touch upon that as this goes on. Let me finish my point on Potter and discussing the differences between him and Tuchel. And that main difference that I've been finally getting to a conclusion of is the fact that he has his teams play through the middle a lot more. Of course, he does use like the wing backs, maybe wingers play wing back roles, but the difference is he finds these guys in 1v1 positions. Under Tuchel, our attacking players are constantly having to face 2v1, sometimes 3v1s. It's not sustainable. How can you find the creative solutions when a lot of times the attackers are like our first defenders, the main creators, the scorers? It's a lot to have for attacking players. And I just think that over time, it's not as efficient to beat teams and create avenues to score goals. And I think this is the difference between Potter. This guy is not afraid to use tons of different formations. I mean, even at Sweden, he was known for using tons of different formations in game. So I'm very curious to know what type of solutions he thinks he can find with our current team, with the current set of players we have. He will definitely have an idea. I guess maybe he could maintain a back three setup, or could we see something completely different now with a 4-3-3? I mean, or even 4-2-3-1, or even all of them combined. We will find out. But to end with things, for me, I am happy with this appointment. I've loved this guy's story. I've been following him from when he was making his name back in Sweden as well. Of course, in the Europa League, that campaign they had, I think in the 17-18 season too. And he was always a guy I've kept an eye on. Followed him at Swansea and, of course, at Brighton as well too. And for me, I think for what Todd Bowley wants to do with this club, I think Graham Potter currently in this market is the best candidate to achieve that goal. That unifying goal, the goal that made Todd Bowley invest how many billions to buy this club from us. And I think that's going to take a coach that has tactical capabilities as well as coaching capabilities. Potter can do the tactics. He can outsmart his opposition manager. He can find creative solutions in game. I mean, some of the games Brighton have played under him. I mean, we saw ourselves last season. I felt like he beat Tuchel in both games, actually, to keep things absolutely real. We could do nothing against Brighton. To have that side of the game patterns, as well as having the coaching side, where it's like, you're creating the environments for players to grow, and of course to improve their overall capabilities as football players too. That is the main thing. There's no point signing these youngers if they don't have the conditions and environment to improve. And for me, this is why Potter is extremely exciting. This is why Todd Bowley made that quick decision to get Tuchel out the way. And I think with Graham Potter's like holistic coaching methods, I really think that this could be like the kind of like perfect coach potentially for these young players we have that are looking to get to that next level. So I guess all I can say now is good luck to Graham Potter. He is our new Chelsea manager. He's a manager that I'm happy with based on all the reasons that I've explained and described to you guys. And I do think that, we do have some of the conditions here where real true success over the long term can be found and created. We have it in owners that walk off the money up when they have to. And I think we now have a manager that can embrace the now as well as the future. So on that note, I'm EFC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.